Well, welcome to the Practically Speaking podcast. I am Marieno, your host. I am excited to be back. It's been some time off, not because I wanted to take some time off, but let's just say life was lifing, and not all bad things. I end up graduating from Duke Divinity School last week. Still kind of basking in that, kind of shocked and in awe of what took place last week with that. And then just things with work and family and ministry, just navigating through those things. And so I've been off for 4 weeks, about a month. We've missed the episode, and so I'm back. And as you know, God has been showing me some things. So it hasn't been like I'm just like not still seeking God, still seeking Him. And so probably about a few days ago, I was in prayer, and I decided that I wanted to imagine the campfire. And we talked about the campfire on here. If you're new to this podcast, it's your first time ever hearing this podcast, first of all, welcome. I'm so glad that you decided to see what we're doing. And it's my prayer that you walk away with something that you can apply in your life or share with someone else. But we've been talking about this vision that I had some months ago, maybe last year, and then I think about it, was the first time of a campfire. And in this campfire, it is me, the Holy Spirit, God, and Jesus, and we're just sitting at a campfire, and all the things that come with a campfire are there. And the gist of it was, in that moment, I felt a sense of peace, a sense of rest, that there was no anxiety, no rushing to do the next thing, no trying to figure out something, no parts of me was wondering, because the reality is I was sitting with the ones that hold it all. And so it is the freedom of being without all of life elements, the responsibilities, the things that we think about, the things that we fight with in our thoughts, the emotions that we go through. That the campfire in that moment for me was a place of just calm. There was nothing fighting for my attention. And essentially, the Lord used that vision to show me that the same way that you feel right now with us in this campfire is essentially the same thing you can feel in normal life, because we're still with you there as well. And I know that we are prone to allow life to get the upper hand, on our emotions, get the upper hand on our thinking. And so we walk around doing and carrying things that God never meant for us to carry. And so we disrupt our environment, our sanctity. And these are normal things that life will bring us. I don't think Jesus, in any of his conversations or anywhere in the Bible when he was talking to the disciples, ever said that it will be easy. And so we have to learn how to balance the temporal and the spiritual. And that is a feat within itself. how not to be overwhelmed with life and still trust God. That is the mystery of the day. And it doesn't matter how much Bible you know, how much you've heard God's voice. We've all had moments where life was a little heavier than God's voice or what He's promised us, which is refuge and rest and peace and strength and wisdom in Him. And so this past week in prayer, as I was reflecting on the campfire and imagining a campfire, I started to pay more attention to the sounds that you hear in a campfire, like the crackling of the fire, the hum of the emptiness of the air. Like you don't hear cars, you just hear the emptiness of the air. And if you're in the woods somewhere, you might hear different animals, like wolves or a dog barking in the distance, or crickets. All these sounds I just begin to hear. And I think in that moment, I realized just how much my attention can be drawn away from things around me because of what I'm essentially carrying. And weights is what I want to call them. And these weights can be multiple things. I'm not going to put a label on what the weights are, but for the sake of our conversation, weights are these things that we are carrying that we shouldn't be carrying. And I realized that weights over time, if carried and not let go or not dealt with, they become a part of who we are. So what would be something that is not supposed to be a part of us becomes a part of us. So it becomes our new normal. And so now it takes on a new face, a new character is I guess the best way that I want to say, because now it's a part of you. It's not you've carried it so long that you've become used to it. And so you don't no longer see it as a weight. It's just become a thing that you are. And so in prayer, those sounds, me recognizing those sounds, was the wake-up call that, hey, you've been so focused on the weights in your life that you're missing the sounds around you. Now, I don't want us to focus on me saying the sounds, because I don't think that was the focus for me. I think the sounds are a representation of how our attention has been drawn away, not necessarily the sound itself. But dare I say that because we are walking around carrying weights that are that have become a part of who we are, that we now put more attention on those things, which then leads us to miss what God is saying and doing around us, because our attention is already diverted. It is already occupied by the weight. And so that's what I walked away with that morning. But, I kind of just was pondering on that thing as the week went on. And I thought about just the characteristics of weight and what weight does to one. And so when you boil it down, I realized that weights are essentially distractions. They are distractions that cause you to put more of your attention into it rather than what God is saying and doing. And so, yeah, you will miss the sounds of life. You will miss the things that are happening around you because you are distracted. And the funny thing about this is the funny thing about it, because I think a lot of times we associate weights with things that we can see, things that we naturally can identify, like situations like I went to the doctor and my reports were not that great, and so it is now a weight because I'm just trying to figure out why my report wasn't the way it should have been. It's a weight, instead of just trusting God that He will walk you through it. And so what I mean by readily recognizing weights, I think weights show up in different ways. And for me in particular, this particular morning, the weights that I have been carrying are more internal. They're more emotional. They're more associated with things like fear and anxiety, and worry. And so I think that it is important that we get to a place where we are recognizing what weights are in our life. And so my prayer that morning was, Lord, expose the weights in my life that have become a part of my life, that have become a normal for me. And that particular week, I've been carrying around this fear of something for quite some time, and that particular thing had become the weight. And so I, was seeking God on that, and so God has a way, if you allow Him to show you and navigate you through it. And this was the way that He chose to navigate me through it, by showing me how I'm missing out on the sounds. That my focus has been so distracted. My attention has been taken by the weight in my life. And so I pulled some things out that I thought that maybe that we could talk about, that maybe you might be dealing with, and you might been trying to walk it through it. And I honestly, at the end of the day, want you to be able to recognize weights in your life and how to navigate through them. That is essentially what my desire is with this particular episode, because I think that it is a big part of what happens with us, weights, being distracted and carrying these things. And so if any of you are worked out, because I'm sure everyone has worked out, I'm sure everyone is at least saw a weight. But I can recall, so I like to run. And there is a app on my phone that records my run. So that means I carry my phone with me. Well, I have a phone case that's on my phone. And so I do not like to run with the full phone in the phone case and put it in my pocket. And here's why. because I feel like it holds me back from freely running. I feel like it becomes a weight on me, which then hinders me from running at the capacity that I want to run. And so now my attention is drawn to my pocket being so heavy that I'm not really paying attention to my breathing. I'm not paying attention to my form. I'm not paying attention to the things around me, being alert about dogs and all of those things and people. And so I think that's a great illustration to show just what weights do for us. And they distract you. Ultimately, you're not able to move as freely as you would move without it. You're a little more apprehensive. Thank you, Holy Spirit. And I think it's important that we understand that weights will do a work on us if we allow it. And so, essentially, you know I have scripture. I hope you know that I have scripture. And so I think we've all heard this, but I don't think that I think we sometimes just overlook it and we just keep moving. So the book of Hebrews, which some call the book of faith. So Hebrews 12, verse 1, it says, therefore, since we are surrounded by such a huge crowd of witnesses to the life of faith, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that so easily trips us up, and let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. It's so many things inside of this scripture, and so many things that I do want to point out. One of which, there is a difference between weight and sin. That's as we see that's different. So it says, let us strip off every weight that slows us down, especially the sin that is easily trips us up. So there is essentially a weight that can turn into a sin. We won't delve into that. I just wanted to give you that little tidbit because I think it's important that we talk about that we at least acknowledge that, because context is king when it comes to the scripture. And so every weight that slows us down. But here again, it goes back to what I said earlier. It's being able to recognize the weight. And if I don't readily recognize the weight, then it becomes a part of who I am. It is a part of my makeup. It is a part of my personality. It is a part of how I respond to life, the lenses by which I see things around me. It ultimately distracts me. It ultimately keeps me from moving forward. It ultimately hinders me from being able to achieve and to take hold of everything that God has called me to. And so I would not be able, and I won't be doing things at the level that God has called me to do them because I'm weighed down. It's just like my illustration with the running. I'm not able to run at the capacity that I want to because the weight that is in the phone in my shorts is causing me to slow down. And I think that God is very intentional about what He's called us to do and be. And so because He's doing most of the heavy lifting, He wants us to stay focused on the running. And I think it will become freeing to us, and I'm saying us because I'm including myself, when we realize that He is the one doing all of the heavy lifting. but we are the ones that have just been called and assigned to run. And running may look different for everybody. I'm not saying everybody's called to preach and everyone's called to ministry. Running looks different for everyone, but the reality is running is being able to function in life without carrying things that I should not be carrying. It keeps me free and open because ultimately I am a vessel to God used for his glory. I am the one that is a kingdom representative. I am a walking billboard. So if I'm carrying things that I should not be carrying, now I am becoming another tool of instrument for something else. I am no longer able to do and walk out what I'm supposed to do as a disciple of Christ in the earth. And so, yeah, this is what happens with weights. And I think when we get to a place where we realize that he is the one that's doing the heavy lifting, then life will look a little lighter. I'm not saying life is going to be easy, but it looks different when you see it from that perspective. And will we get to that perspective and everything will change mentally for us? Or is it easy to get there? That's what I want to say. Is it easy to get to that perspective? No, it's not. It's not easy to get that perspective. I think that happens over time. I think that is us being intentional about what we're thinking about or what we're saying and how much we're staying committed to God and how much we are talking to God, how much we are seeking him, how much we are resting in him. I think that's when things begin to change for us mentally, and then we begin to see him as the weight holder. And let me be clear. Let me be clear. When I say he holds all of the weight, he does, but there are some things that we have to carry. He doesn't do it all. There are some things that we have to carry, but he's not going to let us be bogged down by the weight. I hate to keep using workout analogies, but it's the best way that I can describe this to you. If any of you ever did bench press, and you are lifting a weight that is heavy, you have what is called a spotter. And the spotter is there to ensure that you don't break up under the weight, that the weight doesn't crush you, that the weight does not overwhelm you. And in any case, while you're doing your reps and you're bench pressing, that you begin to get tired, the spotter lifts it up. And if you got a good spotter, he keeps his hand on the bar. And if you got a good spotter, he'll know without you even saying, based on your body language, that the weight is getting too heavy, and then he'll pick it up. So that's the same way that God functions in our life. But at some point, we have to acknowledge that the weight is heavy. That, Lord, I can't carry this. That this is not for me to carry. I've been carrying it, and I need help now lifting it off of me to be released from it. And so I think it's important that we talk about what weights will he do. And I want to go back to something because I mentioned in the top of how weights are not so easily identified. It just depends on what it is. Some things we can identify, but sometimes if it's dealing internally, sometimes we can name it for something else, and it's actually a weight. And so I think we have to be more conscious of what's happening in our life internally. And so that we might be able to identify, oh, wait, this is a weight. This is not normal. This is becoming the distraction now. It's taking more of my attention than it should. That every morning that I wake up, it meets me at the bed, and then influences how I act, how I talk, how I listen. I think that's when we have to realize what's going on. And so I try to give you all these tidbits to kind of walk us through this thing. And for me, I like to call them nudges. And the nudge for me was realizing how the weights in my life have hindered me from hearing the sounds around me. That my attention was so enamored by the weight of this fear that I was dealing with last week that I missed the normal things, man. I missed like the sounds of life. So, and I'm thankful that God is so loving and so sovereign, because when I look back on that week, I still remember some of the things that were happening in the week. So I'm not saying that I was totally oblivious to what was going on around me, but I could have been more fully present if I wasn't so bogged down by this weight of this fear. And the nudge was simply realizing that I gotta let it go. Because if I don't let it go, then it becomes the thing that's drawing my attention, the thing that's occupying me, the thing that's hindering me. And yeah, so I really want to talk about what happens when we don't readily recognize these weights. And so if you're tracking along with me, we're talking about, one, what a weight is and how it can show up in our life. And sometimes it's not easy to identify. But then I want to talk about what happens when we don't identify these weights in our life. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes a new normal for you. It begins to absorb and overshadow and control parts of your life when you don't let these weights go. I was watching a video on Instagram some time ago, and it was a person had put a little split in a tree, and then they opened the bark up of the tree and they placed inside of the tree another type of plant, and then they taped the whole thing up. They taped the little splits up and everything, and just left it. And then they did a time lapse of this particular tree with this plant that's been placed inside of it that did not belong there. And so essentially over time, because the tree did not have the ability to release something that was attached to him that was not supposed to be attached to him, over time, the tree began to morph along with the plant. It became a part of the tree. So something that did not belong there now was a part of this tree. It had become, it had given it a new look, a new face, and not in a good way. And so I think that is a great picture of what happens the more and more we carry things that we don't release. That it is becoming a part of us, and it just morphs into and shapes around the weight, but we walk around with it. We carry it. It gives us another face, another look. And God never intended for us to do that. And when this happened, it is our Um, I think it might be twofold before I say that, because I was going to say that it is our lack of fight for the weight, but I disagree with that. I think it might be more than that. I don't want to say that we're not fighting for the weight to be released. I think sometimes we might not be able to identify it, and so we might be seeing it as something else, but not really understanding that it's a weight that we're carrying. And so, yeah, it becomes a part of who we are. And so we walk around with this weight now, and it changes the way we walk. It changes the way we think. It changes the way we look. Just imagine if my cell phone was seared to my side, because it is now a part of me. Just imagine that. I'm now walking around with something that, first of all, does not belong there, but then two, it changes the way that I move. So I'm not as easiest to do activities that I once did because I got something new attached to me. And I think that's what weights do. And the crazy thing about it, and it's just how our minds are set up. We don't mean to do these things. We really don't. It's just trying to navigate life. It's trying to get around it. It's really just trying to navigate life. So sometimes we don't really think about the simplicity in something until after the fact. But when you think about a weight, you really have the authority to say that I'm gonna carry it or not. It's not this thing that has been put on you without your knowledge. It's a free flowing thing, a free forming type thing. It's a, the weights in the gym, the dumbbells, those are weights. I have to go grab that weight. Nobody forces me to grab that weight. I have to go grab that weight. So if I grab the weight, that means I can let the weight go. There's nothing holding me back from letting the weight go. Nothing at all. And I think sometimes in us, there is this innate feeling that we believe that we have to carry the weight. And the only reason why we believe that is because we believe that we have to solve it. Like last week, I felt like I needed to solve why I was walking in that fear. And and in hindsight, looking back on it, I didn't have to try to solve it. There was nothing to solve there. And so now I'm continuously carrying something because I couldn't find a solution for it. And I think sometimes we need to be okay with not finding a solution. Sometimes the solution is not going to really make it better. Sometimes it just leads to another question. There's a story in the Bible where, what's that story? The Lord told it'll come to me. I'll come back to that. It'll come to me. But yeah, I think sometimes if we keep getting solutions, then it leads to another set of questions. So we're just made up like that. We just always got a question. It's, hey, okay, God. So all right, you opened the door for me to have this job that I've been asking for. Now I'm in the job, but am I supposed to be in this department? Did you want me to be in this department? And then you get the answer for that. Okay. But But did you want me to stay in this state for this job? So it's always a next for us. It's always the next, the next, the next, the next, the next. I think that we have to get to a place where we have to stop overcomplicating things when we don't have to. Just let the weight go. You pick the weight up, you let it go. You let it go. And I think that only comes when we first identify it, when we first realize what it is that we are carrying. And so I like to I always try to walk away with what I'll call a God in moment. But before I get there, so I want to read Luke 21:34 through 36. Let me read that. Luke 21. So it says, watch out, don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness and by the worries of this life. Don't let that day catch you unaware, like a trap. For that day will come upon everyone living on the earth. Keep alert at all times and pray that you might be strong enough to escape these coming horrors and stand before the Son of Man. So a few verses before, Jesus has cursed the fig tree while the disciples are walking, and now they've come back the same way that they've walked, and they see that this fig tree has been cursed, and they begin asking questions, and Jesus tells them, "Hey, yeah, did you notice that fig tree?" And then he says, "Yeah, y'all are the generation that just won't get it together. You just want to get it together." And then he tells them basically, yeah, you need to watch out. Don't let your hearts be dulled by carousing and drunkenness and by the worries of this life. In other words, he is basically saying to them, don't let your heart be drawn to things that pulls your attention away from what it should be on. Don't be so oblivious, or don't become what's the word I'm looking for? Enamored. Yes, don't become enamored by the things that look good and sound good. And then he says the worries, and then he says also the worries of this life. And I like to look at worries as a form of weight, as a form of distraction. Because when we talk about weight, we're really talking about distractions. And so he's telling them to watch out, to be on lookout for those things. Because if you don't, it's a trap. And for me, the trap was I was so focused on the fear that I was missing some things around me. My attention was drawn into it, to the weight of the fear. And I think we need to realize that traps don't always mean like a snare or something. Traps can be your focus being diverted. That's a trap. A trap is something that happens when you are not paying attention. And I think that when we walk around with these weights, we're less on our toes. Is what I'll say. Yeah, that's a good word. We're less on our toes. We're less vigilant in what's going on around us, because we're so focused on trying to recognize and understand and figure out this thing that we're dealing with, and so that's a trap. Don't be trapped. Essentially, I think that it's important that that we that we recognize what weights are, because it's my desire, and not just for you, even for myself, that we get to the place that what I said earlier is that he's the one doing the heavy lift. We're the ones that are called to run. And I think it's much easier to run when you don't have all this other stuff. I am not saying that you won't have this other stuff. I am saying that you learn how to manage it well. You learn what you should be carrying and what you should not be carrying. And I think that when we realize that weights are a thing that we pick up, and because we're the ones that pick it up, we also have the ability to put it down. But we have to want to put it down. God is not going to take it from us. He'll let us continue to carry it. But it's until we get to a place for ourselves that we say, hey, I don't want to carry this anymore, then God will come in and be the spotter that we need. So yeah, it's my desire that you are walking in everything God has had you. Don't try to run with things that you shouldn't be running with. Here's a simple thing. Here's what I did in prayer that morning. I prayed and I said, Lord, please expose every weight in my life that has become a normal for me. And then, Lord, if you've exposed it, I give you permission to take it away from me. I no longer want to carry it. So that's my prayer for you. And I'm not saying it is going to happen overnight. But here is what I am saying. When you recognize it as step one, and then I think the next steps will fall in place, because you're more conscious of it. And so even being more conscious of it, you won't allow other weights to come along. And so I am praying for y'all. I thank y'all. Oh, you know what? Let me do this. I got to share this with you all. So I started something probably about a month ago or so on Substack. I'm always talking about my prayer time and all of that on here and what I hear in prayer. But what I had not told you all is that I journal every time I pray. But now what I've done is I've started a Substack where I've taken my journal, my actual journal stuff, and made it readable. So if you really want to know what God is talking to me about and where I'm getting these things for what we're talking about, hey, I want you to subscribe to it. Go subscribe to my Substack. It's Marieno Journal Moments. And then I have an online community that's called The Desk that you are able to join. And you get all these other little things with it, like conversations about prayer. We got a lot of little things that are coming up. Hey, so I listen, go on Substack, type in Marieno Journal Moments and subscribe so you can get it every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, a new journal moment comes out. And I want you to join it. I want you to come in the conversation. I'm about to start next week where I'll just be posting a question, and I want to hear from y'all. Like, I want to hear from the things that y'all are struggling with, the things that you have questions about. Yeah, let's walk through them together. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. Going to be good. Good. Yeah. So, hey, I'll catch y'all on the next one. And until then, y'all be blessed. Peace.